What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Uxie in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun me movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like on the video and let's get into it. So Uxie is a pretty interesting Pokemon and I'll be covering the 3 Pixie Pokemon for my next guides here. So looking at its stats, it's definitely a bulky Pokemon. And it's got a lot of promise for being pretty good at a support style play. So our first set here, we're definitely going to be focusing on that. So it has one ability, which is Levitate. And its stats are pretty much 130 base in defense and special defense. So very, very bulky. And its health is okay. It's nothing like super amazing, but it's got some nice defense and special defensive bulk. So the first set we got here is going to be more singles based, but you could use this in doubles too. I'm definitely not saying it wouldn't work. In fact, I think this would work pretty well too. So this is just directed around setting up screens. So it's got great bulk for it. And this is going to be supporting your other teammates that are going to come in afterwards. So Light Clay, obviously, as the item there, that's going to increase Reflect and Light Screen for 8 turns instead of 5. U-turn is just a handy scouting move. So, once you've set up your screens, Reflect and Light Screen, or you face not a very favorable matchup, you think, gee, something has an ability to break screens, then you can just U-turn out of there if you want to, or just swap out if you don't have a good matchup at all there. The other move I'd put on there is Psychic Noise, because Psychic Noise is a stab psychic move, and it also stops any healing, so it's not bad against any stalling Pokemon too. It's quite handy for that. It makes it so it's just not going to be completely useless. It's going to have some sort of presence about it. So that's pretty much the moves there. The Terra-type Poison, I think, is quite good on this because you've got a Pokemon that can be a bit susceptible to getting toxic. So with the Terra Poison, that sort of gets around that problem. Plus, with Levitate, you've actually got very, very few weaknesses then, because that takes out the ground weakness of Poison. So that's quite good. So you've only really got that Psychic weakness then. So only having one weakness and a bulky Pokemon is really good. So the EV spread, I would go max health for sure. And we've got some split defenses here. So I've split these defenses right up. So we've got 68 in defense, 188 in special defense and bold nature. This gives me very, very good all-round bulk on both sides there. Very, very even all-round bulk. And I like that for a Reflect and Light Screen Pokemon. So I feel like that's pretty good, I don't think there's too much more you could do with that. The only other thing you could do, just thinking of anything else you could try on a screening set. I actually think those moves are pretty good. There are other alternatives if you do want something like Psychic on there. When I can spell, there is Psychic for a bit more damage, and there is Psy-Shock as well. But kind of like Psychic Noise on there. I think it's pretty good. But if you want just a bit more power, you well and truly can do Psychic and Psy-Shock too. Terra type. So I did say Poison was pretty good, which it is. Another one you could run on there could be Fairy as well. The only reason I say that is because being a Psychic type, it is very susceptible to any Dark type moves, Bug type moves, and Fairy's, Ghost type moves. And Fairy is a very, very good defensive terror for Uxie. In fact, all of the Pixies as well. But yeah, I'd either go with that, Poison or Fairy. That would be my go-to for that. So that's my first set. Now, let's have a look at this next set here. So, I did say at the start that Uxie is primarily a support Pokemon, but you can actually run it as a nasty plot sweep, and it's actually not all that bad, because it's got enough bulk to usually be able to get some sort of boost up here, right? So, nasty plot, obviously. Draining Kiss is an excellent move on it, because it gives you good coverage against your weaknesses, and it also heals you as well. And when you have Terra Fairy on here, that's very nice too. It's got a new move from, all of the Pixies have this new move called Mystical Power. It was introduced in Legends Arceus, so some of you that haven't played that game might not know this, but it's Pretty cool move. It's not exactly a high base power move, but it has a 100% chance to boost your special attack too. So I think that's pretty cool that you can go Nasty Plot and then Mystical Power. Nearly said Mystical Fire there. But you could use that, and every time you use it, you're boosting a special attack too. So that's going to become a very, very powerful attacking move for sure. And then you've got Shadow Ball for a bit of coverage there against, say, an opposing Psychic type Pokemon or a Ghost type Pokemon too. Let's say you don't want to pop your Terra Fairy right away. You've got that option up your sleeve too. Now, I gave this Colbur Berry. Colbur Berry is actually not all that bad because you can get half damage from a super effective Dark type attack. And with its overall bulkier, you're not actually going to take too much damage. And also then moves like Knockoff are not going to be so good on the next turn, right? Because you've powered down the initial Knockoff with an item, but the next turn you're not going to have an item, so Knockoff isn't going to do as much after that anyway. If you really need to go for the Terra then, which you probably will, you can go for Terra Fairy. So that gives you a fair bit of time to set up, right? So that's why I think that's a pretty good item on there. Another one you could run in there could be like Citrus Berry. That could be a good one. Don't mind that. You could have even Leftovers could be somewhat good on there too. You could even have Big Root. Big Root is good at the start. Very, very good with Draining Kiss. But as you've got a lot of boost up there, you'll find it's actually a waste after you've got, 2 or 3, 4 boost up there, because Draining Kiss would have recovered all your health regardless. So it becomes a redundant item there. But good at the start though. So just thought I'd mention that. Another one, you could have Lumberry on there too if you're worried about speed or anything like that. Not that it's a super fast Pokemon, but any annoying stuff like Thunder Wave, that could be somewhat useful too. You could have even stuff like Expert Belt, that could work too. So there are quite a few items that could work. Even Life Orb. Life Orb could work too, because you can get some extra damage and then Draining Kiss to get your health back there. But this is only going to work after you've got like a Nasty Plot and then maybe like another Mystical Power and stuff like that, because the special attack is not too high. It's only 75 base. EV spread here is max special attack and max speed, timid nature. Pretty straightforward there, nothing surprising. This to me is more of a single set, right? That's more of a single set to me. You could do it in doubles, I'm not saying, but you would need some sort of support like a Rage Powder Pokemon alongside it. Or Follow Me or something like that if you really want to use it. But then again, it's outclassed by a lot of other more powerful Pokemon that could set up like that. But if you're playing specific rule sets, this could work well for singles. The Light Clay set could work well for both. I just want to stipulate that. All right, let's have a look at some doubles now. So doubles. This can work well as a Trick Room user, and I have used it before. It's pretty good for that. So let's take a look. So we've got Room Service as the item. I like Room Service on Psychic Pokemon because when you have Knockoff used on you, it's not going to be at its full base power. Plus, it enables you to virtually outspeed everything. So with base 95 speed, there are going to be some Pokemon that can outspeed you that are slower, right? But, Room Service helps out a lot there. So we got Trick Room, Helping Hand, which is a great supportive move on Uxie. Dazzling Gleam with Terra Fairy, and we got Mystical Power as well. So this is more of a sweeping set, but it's also a Trick Room support, and, it's also got Helping Hand for a bit of support too. Quiet Nature and Zero IV, so max special attack and speed. I don't think you really need other EVs if you're trying to just set up Trick Room. If you weren't trying to get a lot of damage output from, say, Dazzling Gleam and Mystical Power, you could go bulky on it, but I don't know. I feel like it'd still be worth putting special attack, a lot of, maxing its special attack. But that's not to say you could do maybe an EV spread that doesn't have any special attack EVs in it, and you could sort of like make it a little bit more bulky, right? You could just make it a bit bulky. Maybe you could do something like this, like 68, 188, and bold. you know, if you don't want to do much damage, you just want to set Trick Room up. There is definitely that option, you know, there as well, while I'm thinking about it. So kind of depends what you want for your team too, right? Terra Fairy, that's good. Terra Poison. Yeah, that's pretty good. Fairy, in my opinion, Fairy's probably one of the best ones on it. I'm just trying to think of these. Steel's pretty good too. I'm just thinking Steel's not bad because you've got good immunities there, and you've also got Levitate. So you're only really weak to like what, fire and fighting then. So that's a good one too. So I will include Steel in that too. Don't mind that. You could do some more hyper specific things like going Terra Dark, trying to get around Prankster Pokemon and stuff like that. There are those sort of options too, but that's more going to more hyper-specific things, depending on what rule set you're playing and stuff like that. But yeah, that's sort of my first set there. Let's check out the next one. So this set, this set's a little bit more of a fun set, but I can still see it having some promise. I've also got another idea as well. Actually, I'm going to say my other idea before this set. So you know how I was talking about Trick Room and stuff? You could also have, instead of Helping Hand, yeah, this also has Imprison too. So you can actually stop, Trick Room from happening from other opponents trying to reset the Trick Room to get rid of your Trick Room as well. And also Dazzling Gleam is quite a common move in doubles too. So it's not bad for doing that sort of thing too. So you can stop people getting rid of your Trick Room and using Dazzling Gleam. So that's another little option you could go for there too. Just wanted to add that in. All right. Here's our next set. So this one's a tanky set. So we've got 252, 188, 168 bold. A little bit more defensive on this one. I quite like I think Uxie works better as a little bit more of a defensive ball than special defensive. So we've got Yawn, Protect, which works well. And we've got U-Turn just for scouting. And it's good coupled with Pokemon like, you know, it's like Incineroar, right? Because you've got Intimidate and you've got Parting Shot and you've got good momentum there. So that works well. And I thought Future Sight could be fun as well. So you could set Future Sight up and then go for U-Turn or Protect. So like Future Sight, Protect, U-Turn or Yawn. And this could cause quite a few swaps too. So this is more of definitely a double set. So Covert Cloak is the item, just to stop any secondary effects there, like annoying secondary effects, I guess. And I've got Terra Normal, which is pretty good as well, because you can get around any of those ghost moves aimed at you. So that's another Terra that's good too. So all of the Terras that I mentioned are pretty good on Uxie. They're the best ones. Most of them are defensive. Probably the best defensive and offensive one is Fairy, though, because it's good defensive and it's good offensive, too. So it's always good on Psychic types, Terra Fairy. But yeah, so Yawn is good for, causing swaps. If you are wanting to run this, say, in singles, it could still work, but make sure you have Stealth Rock, Spikes, lots of entry hazards on the field, too. Because that's going to be very beneficial. Like the opponent's going to take lots of incoming damage. Even Sticky Web will be good too, stuff like that. So just a little tip there for singles. All right, I've got some other sets here, a couple of other sets, and then we're going to explain some teammates and some counters and some other options as usual. All right. Now, I had to mention Uxie as a stored power user because it is a good stored power user. And this is my own sort of set that I made for singles. You could try it for doubles, but it's going to be harder to set up because you're going to need a lot of time. So you're going to need some Rage Powder or Follow Me Pokemon. Like Clefable would be good, I'd say, in doubles, because Clefable covers virtually all of its weaknesses, right? Anyway, let's check it out. So we've got Calm Mind, obviously, the best move for stored power. Stored power, Draining Kiss. So that gives me virtually perfect coverage there. And I know that steel types are going to be a pain, but after you've got a lot of stored power boosts up there, eventually you're just going to destroy them. It's such a high base power move after you've got a lot of boosts up. Draining Kiss is just there for dark type Pokemon, and also it's good for recovery too. Now it actually gets Pain Split, which is interesting. And I thought, well, if I want to run Pain Split on this, I don't want to put any health EVs in, right? Because the less health, the more you get back. So I thought, why not put 252 in defense and 252 in special defense with bold? That's going to make it insanely bulky, right? And it's still got an alright health stat there, right? It's not terrible like a Shuckle or something like that, right? I know the Shuckle's not in the game, but I'm just sort of doing an example. So that could be really good. Plus, I thought if I put more defense in there for bold, Carmine's going to really boost its special defense a lot. And then if we want an even more boost in defense, because, once it gets a lot of Carmines up, you might be starting to get targeted by physical moves. I thought, well, Keyberry's perfect because that'll give you another rise in defense, build the stored power by another 20 base, and also you won't have an item, so knockoff is not going to hit you as hard, and it's going to make you even bulkier. So it's like, it just all works well in together. Like, I've used this set, it works well in singles. You just have to have the right setup. You can sweep people easy with it. So Terra, I like Steel on there or Poison. The reason I say that is because this becomes big toxic bait after a while. Like, when the opponent's like, damn, I can't take this Pokemon out, what can I do? I can either taunt it, or I can either trick it a choice item or poison it. There's not too many things. Or critical hit it. You could, like, if they try setting up in your face and you've got a lot of boost up already, generally you can, usually take that out. But they're like the three things that normally get around these style of sets. So I like Steel or Poison. I think they're pretty good. I would opt for Steel. Personally, the reason I say that over Poison is you've got stored power, which is weak against psychic types, then you'd be a poison type, and you've got draining kiss. So I think it's better having at least a neutral hitting move against your weakness instead of a not very effective one, because they might be able to get around you there with annoying psychic drops and other stuff like that. This is a personal choice though. But anyway, I thought I'd mention stored power set. I've got many sweeps of this set. It works really well. All right, let's have a look at a PIMPNITE special now, and we'll go into some other stuff. All right, well, we got to do the physical, Uxie. Let's check this out. So I was looking at a physical set and like, well, Levitate's kind of crappy, right? So the idea is here, not that it's always going to present itself because it's a gimmicky set, is you might be able to skill swap for a good physical ability from another Pokemon, whether you're playing doubles or singles, right? So you might be able to get Moxie from someone, right? You might be able to get, I don't know, Iron Fist. I'm trying to think of something that anything would be better than Levitate, right, to build onto this set. You could even get, Serene Grace. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, we've got skill swap there to get rid of its ability. Zen Headbutt for flinching. Fire Punch for any Steel type Pokemon. And we've got Play Rough for any Dark type Pokemon as well there. And Expert Belt just for a little bit of extra, help getting some more damage there. But it is a flinching set, mainly with Zen Headbutt. But then when you've got the Dark types coming, you'll have to go for Play Rough. Max Attack and Max Speed, Adamant Nature. And Stellar. I thought Stellar and Expert Belt work really well together, at least for the first initial hit. And that could get some, well-needed damage there to try and feint them with a physical set. So there you go. A beautiful PIMPNITE special there. Let's have a look at some teammates and some counters now for Uxie. So this Pokemon can work with quite a few things, right? So any real offensive Pokemon, they're going to work well. So let's say for doubles, you've got stuff like Rillaboom. That's going to be good. That's going to be a real pain behind screens. It's going to hit hard. You've got stuff like Landorus. It's going to be virtually any crazy offensive Pokemon. It's going to work well with, right? Because I've got screens up. So it's pretty obvious. There's a massive amount of Pokemon like that. It's just a support Pokemon to support Pokemon that have high offensive stats. I'm just going to say that. There's so many examples that there could be. Now, if you are wanting some more specific ones, not a bad, I was just thinking this one too, not a bad Pokemon too, would be Basculegion wouldn't be a bad Pokemon too. So that up with screens would be really, really, really gross, especially if you've only got a couple of, like, say you've got only a few Pokemon left, you're going to get your screens up, and then that's just going to spam blast your specs, right? That could be really, really good. So, stuff like that is going to be, really good. Like, this works with so many different Pokemon too, like offensive Pokemon. I would say it works with tons of Pokemon. There's not any real specific ones that I would see it working, working well with. Just any Pokemon that has high offensive stats, that's going to be supported. It's going to appreciate that. And there's so many Pokemon there for sure. I mean, doubles, like, even Sylveon, stuff. I'm just trying to give some generic examples. That would be another good one behind screens as well, is be able to get a lot more attacks off. You could even do it with Alolan, you could even do it with Alolan Ninetales on the team as well. Like, that would be absolutely disgusting. So yeah, that would be gross. Like, stuff like that, I think it would work very, very well on. Now, counters. So I would say any dark type Pokemon are always a really good counter for it. And there's a lot of dark type Pokemon out there, right? I like King Gambit would be a definitely good counter for Uxie for sure. Some more gimmicky ones, like Muck and stuff. Alola Muck, that would be a good counter for it. So, dark type Pokemon. Steel type Pokemon. Goldengo, that would be a good one. Steel type Pokemon. Corviknight, Goldengo, those sort of Pokemon are going to be able to get around it pretty easy. And you've got, Good as Gold as well, so it can be immune to any status moves. So those are good there. Some probably, I would say, not so much poison Pokemon. But yeah, any steel types or dark types, even ghost types. I was talking about Basculegion before. Well, I mean, I know that that sort of falls. Goldengo sort of falls into that category too. But Calyrex, like, it's gonna struggle against those a lot. It's gonna really, 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 really struggle. So there's a couple of examples for you, for sure. Incineroar would be annoying too. That would be annoying for Uxie to deal with. So there are a couple of options there for it. I'd say it's quite a broad Pokemon. It can work with a lot of Pokemon, but it's also countered by a lot of Pokemon. How's that? That's probably the best way of me actually, putting that. Depending on what rule set you're playing to, whether you're playing singles or casual or VGC or doubles or Smogon or anything like that. It sort of depends there, but that's a general sort of idea. All right, let's have a look at some last minute stuff on here. It's moves and stuff. Like to always go over Pokemon. So it can be a baton passer if you're up for doing baton passing. It gets baton pass and Carmine, Nasty Plot. It's pretty good. It also gets Encore as well. I would say Encore is quite a good move on the support set. That can be really annoying because it can Encore and then it can set up, or it can set up Stealth Rocks, or Encore then U-turn and then cause you to swap. How we're talking about this one here. You might be able to slide. It'd be hard to slide. You could forego Psychic on there and put Encore. There is that option too, but it'd be hard to fit that in. Probably not a screening set. I probably wouldn't put it on. There's not enough room, but definitely Encore U-turn would be good. Memento. It gets Memento. Memento's a good move. That could be a good last filler move. So like Reflect, Light Screen, Memento, U-turn. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That could work. Sort of gone over this. It can be a Stealth Rocker too for singles. Does get Thunder Wave. Does get Trick, so it can trick away a choice item, like a choice scarf or a choice band or a lagging tail, something like that. That could be useful. Good Trick Room. We've gone over that. Ally Switch. Yes, of course. So Ally Switch, it can be definitely good for. We're talking about some more moves here. So Ally Switch can be perfect. Perfect on Uxie. It's a good move for it. It's nice and tanky as well. I don't think it gets... No, it doesn't get Wide Guard. That'd be quite good for Wide. I just think that'd be a great Pokemon for Wide Guard. Yeah, let's keep looking down here. So Helping Hand's good over that. Imprison. We talked about Imprison and Trick Room. That could work. Magic Room's interesting with getting rid of no items, all the items. It does get skill swap too if you want to skill swap away an ability. So you want to, I don't know, you might want to give Slaking Levitate or something. I don't know, anything better than its ability. And yeah, we've talked about Yawn as well. Yawn's good with Protect. So usually when you see Yawn, it'll have Protect on it, especially in doubles for sure. So that's its status moves. Special moves, we've gone over Dazzling Gleam, Draining Kiss already. Expanding Force. Now, you could run that on Psychic Terrain with an Indeedee. Indeedee wouldn't be a bad partner, but they are a little bit weak, both weak to Dark. But, you know, it does have a, you know, it does learn a lot of Fairy-type moves, so that could still work. So, Expanding Force, Indeedee, that could work. Trick Room, that would be a good partner. Extension is more gimmicky. Future Sight's on our we got Giga Drain, sort of coverage moves there. Nothing super amazing. Mystical Power, we went over that. Stored Power, sort of had a look at that. Shadow Ball. I'm just trying to think if there's anything. It does get Charge Beam, but Charge Beam's kind of outclassed. Well, it's definitely outclassed by Mystical Power because it doesn't even give you a 100% chance to raise your special attack. Yeah, there's not too much more there. So you could do some like... You could just say gimmickies like Snore and Throat Spray. That would be funny. Does it get recycled? That would be kind of cool. Anyway, but yeah, it's fairly limited on that side. And of course, its physical moves are even more limited. Pretty much the only one you're going to see is U-Turn, I would say. That you're not going to see too much unless you see someone running a PIMPNITE special. It actually gets pretty good punching moves. It gets all the punching moves. You might be able to do like Punching Glove and Drain Punch, Fire Punch, Ice Punch. And Thunder Punch. The full punching Uxie. That'd be really cool. But anyway, that's going to be about it for Uxie. What a great support Pokemon this is. And it also can be quite a good offensive, nasty plot Pokemon too. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you got anything more to add, of course, put it below. If you want to leave any Pokemon suggestions you'd like to see me cover, put it below. You enjoyed it, drop a like. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.